much. I'm so proud of you for taking the initiative to organize it, so people that are concerned about how we can reclaim our government and set a new course for this nation can come out and find a place to speak their mind. As Diane said, I drafted an economic policy proposal entitled Plan B, Recalibrating an Economy in Decline, Building an Economy in Balance, that takes a look at the systemic imbalances within our economy that created the current economic crisis and what can be done to fix them. On March 26th of this year, I sent Plan B to President Obama because I am concerned that he has misdiagnosed the economic problems we face and the solutions for them based on a faulty assumption. And that assumption is that in order to quote-unquote fix our economy, what we must do is first fix the financial sector to get credit flowing again. The problem with this assumption is that generating more debt to an already indebted population is not a long-term strategy for economic health. In addition, this strategy has not released the economic strings that have been hampering it. If you've ever tried to get a loan in this economy, it is still a real struggle. So despite the fact that we put in hundreds of billions, perhaps even trillions of dollars into our financial sector, this economic policy is not working. In addition, increasing the supply of money will not do anything to increase the demand for good. If we really want to fix this economy, what we must do is focus on the demand side so that people can have the economic security and living wage jobs that they need in order to resume spending that drives the economy. The economy is driven 70% by consumer spending. If we put all of our money into the banking sector, that's going to do little or nothing to help average Americans whose spending can help us move us out of this economic mess. Unfortunately, consumers have they simply have no ability to spend anymore because of increasing debt, because of a drop in the stock market, because of flat and declining wages. Americans simply have no purchasing power left. So this whole strategy that we need to prioritize the banks over prioritizing the people is not a course for economic success. In fact, if we would have taken the money that we invested in AIG alone, we could have purchased health care for a year for all Americans. Instead, it went into bailing out the exact same people that created this economic crisis that we're in the first place. The problem with bailing out the banks is that this hole is too big to fill. According to the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency that oversees the national banks, the notational value of the derivatives, those toxic assets held in U.S. commercial banks in the third quarter of 2008 amounted to $175.8 trillion. The notational value of these toxic assets worldwide are $500 billion. Anybody want to take a guess what the GDP of the planet was in 2008? $70.5 trillion. Ergo, the hole that we are trying to fill with taxpayer money is too deep to ever fill. We can never fill that hole, but we can absolutely bankrupt the nation in trying. So why are we doing this? Why are we prioritizing the banks instead of prioritizing the people and putting taxpayer money into creating the economic security and living wage jobs that we need to create a sustainable future for ourselves? Well, according to former IMF chief economist and current MIT professor Simon Johnson, the United States is increasingly under the control of a small group of banking oligarchs that could potentially trump the president, the Congress, and the American government by the sheer power of their ability to control our national economy. Quote, they are the people who could pull the strings, who have the influence, who call the shots. In Johnson's article, The Quiet Coup, which was published in The Atlantic in May of this year,
over there.
the finance industry, quote, has effectively captured our government, a state of affairs that more typically describes emerging markets, but something we would never have expected to see here in the United States of America. So how did we get here to this place where our government is prioritizing the needs of the banks over the needs of the people, where we are giving them up to $2 trillion in taxpayer money to make them whole instead of taking care of the needs of the people and us as a nation as a whole. More importantly, what can we do about it? And that issue was the subject of Plan B, which I would really encourage you to go read, find, send to your friends, send to your representatives, and tell them it is time to put the needs of our people first. So what Plan B describes is how we got to this place where 1% of U.S. households now have a net worth greater than the 90% of us at the bottom. We got to this place because of the structural imbalances within our economic system in the area of our nation's wage and compensation structure, the tax system, the regulatory system, and the financial sector. Sorry, guys. What I found in looking at our economic model is that we have an entire economic system focused on extracting the wealth of the nation and moving it from average working Americans up to corporations, CEOs, and Wall Street through these four areas of our economy: the wage and compensation structure, the tax structure, the system of regulation, and the financial sector. For example, top CEO pay in the 60s and 70s, an area of relative well-being for the majority of the nation, averaged 24 to 1 back in the early 1970s, where top executives made maybe 24 times the wage of the average American. Now we're in a situation where top executives earn 400 times the wage of average workers, making in a single day what it takes the average American to make in an entire year. The compensation structure has moved from a system where, as our productivity increases, we all get a greater piece of the pie, to, as our productivity increases, the CEOs, the corporations, and Wall Street get a greater and greater piece of the pie, while wages in this country have remained flat for average workers and have actually been in decline since 2003.